I think that the national and local industrial strategies, this new approach to industrial policy, potentially offers some significant advantages for different parts of the UK. The most important point, though, is to allow localities, whether it's devolved administrations, city-region areas, LEPs, whatever the geography is, to try to get to grips with the realities of the locality, rather than just thinking in national numbers all the time. Our policy settings in the UK are far too centralised, far too top-down, far too aggregate in nature, and also in terms of thinking. And this is the way to empower local actors, stakeholders, to come together, to work together on the local problems as they understand them. They know what the bottlenecks are, they know what the challenges are, and it's their responsibility to try and come up with what are potentially workable and feasible solutions. Importantly here, we need consensus and working across political boundaries. We need people of all political parties, different types of stakeholders coming together to try and find local solutions for local problems. The withdrawal of the European funding, particularly in regional and urban policy, EU cohesion funds, is going to be a major issue for many parts of the UK. The level of funding that many regions, particularly economically weaker regions, have received over the last 3 or 4 decades has been enormous. It's tens of billions. And the key things of the EU policies has always been that it's about integrating long-term, joining up policy streams for long-term investment. So the kind of replacement that we will need to see in the UK, the principles would be, firstly, we need to have policies and programs that explicitly target the weaker areas. Secondly, they need to be long-term, going beyond individual electoral cycles, whether at the local or the national level, so that you don't get changing of policies, changing tack. There needs to be continuity so private sector and public sector bodies can genuinely get involved. Thirdly, what we also need to see are programs which allow flexibility, local decision-making, local management, shared management where local has to work with national government, but also many areas where local and regional operate largely independent of national government. We don't want, in the end, top-down thinking where Whitehall is always overseeing and looking at what local and regional authorities are doing. It's the wrong way round. We need to develop much more of a bottom-up system. The fourth element, which is really important, is we need the firepower. The kind of issues we're talking about, local economic development, the challenges are enormous, particularly in the post-Brexit context. And what we need is a policy system which has the resources to make a difference. We can't see anything which kind of scatters resources between places, too fragmented, too small scale, because what we also know from our own work in this program, this project for UK and Changing Europe, is it's the economically weaker parts of the UK which are more exposed to Brexit. So they're going to need enormous funding targets, enormous firepower, that's the kind of language I would use, to make sure that those regions can best respond.